Hey everybody, we'll start in a couple minutes. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Now, I don't have a ton of stuff to go into about this. I'm not even sure if there's a video we can look on per se. I tried to kind of go through some of the Kiwi Farm stuff. The problem with Kiwi Farms, though, is their threads are ungodly abominations. They're like 50 pages long. Let me see how long this one is. This one's only 33 pages long, but I have a couple little tidbits that we can maybe talk a bit about with regards to this. I don't really know if there's a particular video I have in mind though. Um, River Run says they're reputable property management companies in Detroit. God help them. Yeah, like a former boss of mine I've mentioned a number of times owned a fair amount of rental property in Detroit. He bought it in like the suburbs. Um, like he bought foreclosed properties in the suburbs and like fixed them up a bit, and then he primarily rented them out to like families. So he actually made pretty good. He actually made pretty good money on that. He would just buy them straight out. Although his rent was much more than what a the mortgage would have been. 50 pages is small for Kiwi. It is a small Kiwi Farms thread. Um, some of the ones I try to track, I just don't have time. But yeah. Torture Room says, "Hello, Mr. Templar. How are you doing today?" Good, good. I'm gonna be heading um, to go spend some time with my parents and family for Christmas. Um, so got a couple days off of work. Um, Probably gonna have a nice big turkey dinner with all the fixings. Uh, we normally have a Christmas tree, so that'll be fun. It'll be good to see my parents, that kind of thing. I did also finish my first. I'm doing my master's degree, so I finished the first course recently, and I got an A in it, which is I'm really happy about because I didn't know how I'd manage to like do doing master's level, but that seems to be going good. So I'm doing that part time, so that'll probably take me like 3 or 4 years to finish it all. It's not too expensive in Canada though, compared to the states. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's like 2,200 Canadian dollars a semester, which I don't know what that is in USD. Probably like 1,700. Anyways, it is time. Let's get going. Hello, everybody. Hello, all of you beautiful people. Let me just move that over to there. And so we are entering into the foreclosure saga. So we'll just try to go through this. It's going to be a little bit difficult just because there's just so much bullshit um, to to cover on this whole thing. It can kind of be hard sometimes to get a thing on it. Okay, so basically there is the condos in Connecticut, which has kind of been an important part of DSP lore for the last like God, how long has it been? Since like forever. So let me just take a step back and try to explain this. Okay, so 10 years ago, when DSP got his job at the helicopter support company, he made enough money apparently at it that he was able to move out of his parents' house and buy a condo and start making mortgage payments on it. So when he eventually got fired, he moved back. He just was able, by cashing in his 401ks and his severance package and like some other things, he was able to raise enough money to stay in the condo. And then he started making major YouTube money. And once he started making like major YouTube money, um, he was kind of able to go through that. So all that stuff was like was happening. He was doing really well on YouTube. He was making, we don't know how much money DSP was making. He keeps saying like he's made more money than he ever had in his life. And he paid off all of his loans except for his mortgage. But he also, during that time period, if you like look at it, and I can't find the video, but there's like a time lapse. He spent tens of thousands of dollars in statues. He leased like a new, like super expensive BMW. He took all these trips across the country. Um, and I mean, basic logic for most people is if you're in an unstable job that has a really high income, you just try to not spend the money. You go, okay, I'm making, maybe he was, we'll just pick a number. He was making $200,000 a year with very low expenses because he was living out of his apartment. Logic would suggest either you just pay off your mortgage as soon as possible. Maybe you invest it into stocks. Maybe you use it to buy a rental property. You take the moment you have, and you try to make the most of it. And you try to make it so that it'll help you further down. Because as we've seen with YouTube, YouTube isn't forever. YouTube isn't like just random shit can happen. Someone at like Google headquarters can fuck up and like they delete your account. You can just get demonetized. Some like terms of service can change, and something you said will get you banned from the site. There's so many things that can get your YouTube account shut down that you should take that moment and invest the money in something. But he chose not to do that. So this is where things start to get weird. So from my understanding, and maybe someone in the chat can correct me, I believe the original price of the condo was about $130,000. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was what the mortgage was. It was somewhere between $120,000 and $130,000. Which honestly, because I live in like the Toronto area, that doesn't sound like very much money. Let me see what that is in Canadian dollars. I think even in Canadian dollars, it's not very much money. USD to CAD. That is... Okay, so that's about 170,000 Canadian dollars, which is not a ton of money, to be honest, as far as buying a house goes. But he was claiming for a long time. Okay, Savage Lars, who knows the deep lore, says the condo was 130K. And we're going to assume he didn't make any down payment on it, which I think you have. Don't you have to make a down payment? Like, don't you have to put like 5 to 10% of it down? Okay, we're just going to pretend for the sake of argument. River Run says, Gloria in excelsis Deo, et in terra pax. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that, River Run, but basically glory to God in the highest, I believe is what he is saying. But thank you, River Run. I appreciate that. That's going to go straight to the bills. What was I thinking? Or where was I talking about again? Yeah, so we're going to pretend he didn't have to put money down, although in most cases you have to put money down on his mortgage. So apparently over the course of the past 10 years, he's only paid off $30,000 of this $130,000 mortgage. So for you guys, I got a mortgage calculator. Okay, so this is Government of Canada, so it's probably fairly, I would imagine, fairly accurate. So, okay, so we have a mortgage of $130,000. We have an interest rate of 5%. I think that's pretty much what the standard is. 1 second, let me just... Sorry, that got cut off a bit. There we go. You have an interest rate of 5%, which is, I think, about the standard. So I think 5% sounds reasonable to me. So we're going to pretend 10 years. Obviously, his mortgage was probably longer than that. But we'll get into why I picked this. Okay, so to pay off a $130,000 mortgage over a period of 10 years at what I think is a fairly normal interest rate, you would have to spend approximately $1,400 a month. And if memory serves, DSP claims that he spends the same amount of money on his condo and his house, which I think is about $1,500 a month. So, my point being, regardless of his term, if he was spending like $1,400 a month, no, you see, he was spending $1,500 a month on the condo. Sorry, it's hard to even like follow this bullshit. River Run, if you want to post the English, I'll read the English version of that. Sorry, I'm very bad at pronouncing things. Okay, so if he was paying $1,500, now to be fair, some of that money probably went to condo fees, or like when he was living there, electricity and hydro and like property taxes and stuff like that. And I don't know how much money that would all come out to. But even if we were going to say, like, I don't know, that was $200 a month. Let's see. Let's just make this 12 years. Okay, let's say that was $200 a month. He should have still been able to pay off the vast majority of it over a similar period. DSP bought the condo River Run, I think 10 years ago. So I think 2008, 2009. Someone can probably correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, my point being that there's absolutely like no reason that this shouldn't be much lower. Even if he picked a long period of time to pay this off, if he was paying anywhere near the amount he claimed he was paying, none of this makes any sense. Also, his aunt was living there for a long period of time, and she was paying him rent that covered most of the cost of the mortgage. So, from what I was able to determine on Kiwi Farms, the question that everybody, particularly July 2009, the question that everyone on Kiwi Farms had, and that I've always had, is why doesn't he just use a property management company? Because you can hire them, they'll find tenants for you, they'll collect the money. If there's like some issue at 3 a.m, they'll deal with it. You don't have to deal with that kind of thing. River Run says he could have got it as low as like 3% because that was like one of the lowest periods of mortgage interest in the last like 20 years. Yeah, that seems likely. I'm just trying to let's just see if we put it 3%. Yeah, if you put it to 3%, then his payments, yeah, okay, then it would be $1,500. Yeah, okay, so. Anyways, what was I saying again? Right, so the thing, okay, so someone points out in the chat, and I was about to get to this. So the property management company wouldn't communicate by email. They tried to call him, and Phil is has terminal autism, and he didn't want to talk to somebody on the phone. So he got really angry that the person called him, and then he just told the property management company to go fuck themselves, and he never contacted them again because they wanted to talk to him on the phone about it instead of through email. And he needs that money to pay his bills. And if he had have taken like the 10 minutes at that point in time to take the call, or scheduled to one of his, because he has like hours in between his streams. He could have just said, "Oh, could we talk like at this time of the day or something?" Like, I mean, this is like what adults do. I have to like step out of work like sometimes for 5 minutes and take like a call from something I don't know, like something tax related, or like talk to my hydro company or something, and no one really cares. Everybody does that. That's just what you do as an adult. Um, but he couldn't do that, so he threw a hissy fit. Let's see here. Okay, so amortization. What am I looking at again? Okay, so all that stuff. So that was kind of the background. So what we're able to determine is none of this makes any sense. If he had been making any kind of regular payments, he should be mostly paid off by now. So the value of his condo has, according to him, dropped. So it's $60,000. So it's lost something like 60% of its value. Now that sucks, but once again, it should be down to the point where he could just take a wash on it. Like just sell it without a profit, or sell it and pay off like a relatively small balance. But that's not the case. And we'll look at this in a minute. And he said earlier this year that what he might do is just stop paying money on the condo and let it get foreclosed on. He tried to short sell it, and that didn't work. He tried a bunch of other stuff, and none of that worked, supposedly. But he said, I'm just going to stop paying it, and then they'll foreclose on it. And then, like, it's the bank's fault. Because I tried to tell the bank, you have to just let me off the hook from this. You can keep my worthless property. Yeah, you can keep my worthless property, and I get out of the loan, and that's the deal. And they didn't agree. They didn't agree to it. So because they didn't agree to it, he said it's I'm justified in just not paying them. So we don't really know what happened. Did he stop paying for the condo in Connecticut? Like, because he alluded to the fact that he said he was going to stop, but then he like never actually, to our knowledge, did stop. I think he mentioned it a couple times. He's like, oh, if I can get rid of it, then that's like $1,500 extra a month. So, you know what I'm saying? None of this makes any kind of sense. None of this makes any sense. So that brings us to this. So DSP is getting foreclosed on, and Kiwi Farms was able to find the case listing. So let's just read through this and take a look at this kind of thing. River Run says 60% loss on value shouldn't happen. I would imagine, especially over a 10-year period. That just seems really weird to me. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money when the financial crisis happened, but I feel like a lot of those houses regained a lot of their value. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, people have to live somewhere. And the price of housing rises like faster than inflation. I don't know. None of it makes any sense. That being said, let's see here. Okay, so MidFirst Bank versus Brunel Phillip. So, from my understanding, what the MidFirst Bank bought the mortgage from the previous company because they thought that they could collect on it. Is my understanding of how this thing works. So let me just see here. Sorry, let me just do this. And I mean, once again, you have to take this all with a massive grain of salt, because we're basing this on stuff that Phil's told us, and Phil is not really like... let's see here. His condo is in a shitty era, plus it suffered water damage and and they apparently did bother to show up. So, I don't know. That just seems really weird. Like, that he wouldn't... I don't know, like... is there just no reason to show up? It just seems weird that he wouldn't either show up or get somebody to represent him. Like, couldn't he get like one of his parents to like go and represent him? I mean, can't you legally do that? I mean, I'd imagine anybody would be better than like no one being there. Like, I don't know. Oh, okay. So they electronically filed. Okay, sorry, I wasn't even paying attention. Okay, so they electronically filed it. So the condominium association didn't even show up. They just like sent in a form. So Phil could have literally just sent in a form, but he's too lazy to do that, apparently. So let's see here. It's trying to find where the listing of the amount of money is that is owed. Let's see here. Appearance, complaint. I'm just checking which document it is. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Okay. We got this. We did it, Reddit. Okay, let me just see if I can open this in. How do I open this? I'm sorry, this is like boomer hour. I don't think there's an easy way to like open this in a let me see here. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to open a PDF in Chrome. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Open with Google Chrome. No, it doesn't seem I can open this with Chrome. Okay, so let me just change my capture software over. Let's see. Where's Microsoft? Sorry, everybody. This is really like boomer tier of me. I don't understand like why I'm not allowed to open this in Chrome. Let me see if I can open this in Acrobat. Wow, this is fucking amazing content. Let's see here. Can I open it in Brave? Oh, okay. It's letting me open it in Brave. Okay, well, fuck you, Google. Brave is like what the cool kids should be using. Let's see here. See, is it not detecting Brave now? Oh, come on. I don't know if it's like deliberate or not. OBS seems to have a lot of trouble finding Brave. Like, No, I'm using Chrome just because a lot of other stuff isn't supported. You have to turn off download PDF or some shit. Okay. Because I know I've done this in the past. Okay, let me see here. Okay, open Chrome, more settings. privacy and security. Let's see here. Site settings. Okay. PDF documents. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. I don't know why they make it so complicated. Like, why that can't just be the default. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. We did it. We did it, Reddit. I'm really sorry about that, guys. I don't get, like, why. That's the thing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, let's see here. The plaintiff Midfirst Bank has an office and place of business within a et cetera, et cetera. At all times complained of hailing through this. Said note is in default due to non-payment of monthly installments of principal and interest, and the plaintiff has elected to accelerate the balance on the note to declare said note to be due in full and to foreclose the mortgage securing said note. Wow, this legalese is fucking horrible. I'm having trouble like even reading this thing, to be perfectly honest. Let's see here. Okay. The defendant have failed and neglected to cure the default. The plaintiff has... Okay, so as of November 8th, 2019, the amount due and owing is $102,000 plus accruing interest, fees, and collection costs. I'd assume if he loses this one, he has to pay the lawyer's fees for the bank. The following liens or encumbrances claim to have an interest in the property. So let's see here. The town of Stratford may claim an interest in the property by virtue of not paying real estate taxes. The Deerwoods Condominium Association may claim an interest in said premise because he did not pay property condo fees. Let's see here. Wow. So they're claiming foreclosure of the mortgage, possession of the property, attorney's fees, interest, cost of the suit, deficiency judgment, such other and further relief as the court may deem just and equitable. So yeah, that's been filed. And it looks like they're going to take him to the cleaners on this one. This is like really hard to read though. Like I like to think I'm reasonably intelligent, but man, this is really legalese. So yeah, basically DSP is completely fucked. Now it's funny because like the guys at Kiwi Farms dug up the demand letter tracking number, so like we could look at it and see where the letter is that's being sent to DSP telling him that he's fucked. So somehow it's still in transit, basically a month later. Like I don't know why it's not in transition like why he hasn't gotten it yet, or maybe he just like refuses to sign for it and pretends he's not home when they try to deliver it. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but there's that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, and I've mentioned this in the past, but I haven't brought it up for a while, is this whole like Washington State tax thing. Um, oh, okay. So Adam K says he refused to answer the door. Um, okay, so they can't deliver it to him because he refuses to answer the door. Um, in order to in order to avoid bill collectors. Oh, so that's his way of getting through it. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Washington State business tax. Actually, you know what? Sorry, I shouldn't have gotten to that. Okay, so before we look at what the Washington State business tax is, I want everybody to guess how much money it is. Like what percentage of your income the Washington State business and occupation tax is. So this is the tax that DSP claimed broke his back. That that completely screwed him, and he was like completely fine with regards to paying all his bills before he found out that he also had to pay the business and occupation tax. So I just want you all to take a guess. Okay, well we know how much it is. I'm just saying how much would you think it is? Don't spoil it, Savage. Spoiled it. Okay, so people are saying one. Okay, well, you guys know what it is. When I first heard it, I thought it was going to be more, but yeah, it's 1.5% is of your gross income from your small business. So even after like 5 years, so let's assume DSP makes $120,000 a year, and times 0.015. So that would be $1,800 a year is what his taxes would be. And if I multiply that by 5, that would mean that his taxes for the entire time that he was in Washington State would be around $10,000. Something like that. I got 9,000. When I did 1.5% of 120,000 times by 5 is 9,000. I'm just rounding up to 10. So, like, he claims, he talked about, like, it being the worst thing ever. And I mean, $9,000 is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. That's a lot of money. But compared to what you would be paying in income taxes, it's just... Let me just bring up like what it is like in where I live in Ontario. Ontario income tax calculator. Okay, so here we have a tax calculator for where I live in Ontario. Let me just do this. No, but the thing is, he had a way of getting out of penalties and interest because he could prove that his account had fucked up. Okay, so let's say if DSP lived in Ontario with his income, how much would he pay in provincial? Oh, oops, that's put an extra zero there. If DSP lived in Ontario, he would be paying $12,000 a year in provincial income tax. So 1 year of income of, I guess you'd say, state level income tax would be more than what he paid in 5 years. Okay. So I don't know. Also, it's not like he has to pay all the money up front. I'm sure they have him on some kind of payment plan. And I'd imagine the payment plan isn't like that onerous on a monthly basis if it's like $9,000. Like even if he's paying that off on like a per month basis, that would only be what, like 700, like $800 a month is what it would be if he was paying it off on like a monthly basis. So so there's that shit. The question is like, where did all the money go? Because like we know aside from his salary, which is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, he also has taken out multiple business loans, maxed out all his credit cards. Um, has two houses. I guess he just got a new car. I think it went to drugs. Yeah, maybe. And then also you have what's the other thing? Also, Kat makes money. I don't know if she makes much money, but she contributes to paying the bills too. And Panda Lee also did when she eventually got a job. So like none of this makes any kind of sense. What I kind of wish would wind up happening is that Phil has all the money in like a Swiss bank account, and like he's been doing a really like long troll, and it's just gonna turn out that is like he has like $1 million like just saved from all this shit in like offshore investments. So he, yeah, as Adam K and some other people are pointing out in the chat, avatars, he can't declare bankruptcy because he makes too much money and he has too much equity in his house. But he can't refinance his house because A, he's too stupid to do that because he wants to hold out till it gets more value. And B, would you, if you were gonna do that, would you let DSP like remortgage your house? Like if I was the bank, I wouldn't let him do it. It just so someone says a business degree. No, it's not even a business degree. It's a finance degree, which makes it even funnier. So I guess what we can say is like none of this makes any sense. There's got to be a bunch of money here that just went missing. Um, I don't know how much the mortgage is on the new house. I think the new house is like was also around $130,000, and it's gained 50% or more in value. So yeah, um, I don't know. None of this makes any kind of sense. Anyways, I think that's most of it. I don't think I have a ton of other stuff. The problem is just none of this stuff is particularly interesting. They're just showing the clip of whatchamacallit, the what I just showed you, the picture of that. On top of that, he used to work at Wells Fargo doing home loans. Okay, new house was 265K. It's now over 420K. So as I've said, if he sold the new house, then he would be able to probably pay off at least most of his other loan too. I mean, you have to pay income taxes on that. River Run, you know more about this kind of thing than me. Isn't there like a home mortgage interest deduction that's fairly large in the United States? Um, isn't there like a sizable tax break for that kind of thing? Or maybe I'm just like, I don't know. He also thought that he would pay more money after on the um, I don't. Then there's like a bunch of other stuff, like how he claims that he has no write-offs. Like he does that sometimes. Like he'll say, "Oh, I have no. There aren't any write-offs I get for my business, and then he'll say there is a bunch of write-offs you get for your business. I don't know. It just goes back and forth. Let's see here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of where things are. I don't have a ton of other stuff to say. He hasn't talked about it on stream. He's doing a tax begathon, but it's only I think to pay his income taxes. I don't think it's enough to pay for his I actually don't know what it's for. It's not enough to pay this, whatever. I don't know what he's gonna do. I've always thought his like master plan was just to wait till his parents die and then use their money to pay off everything, and I don't know, move to like Brazil or something, and then get like I don't know, shot by a death squad. I don't fucking know what this guy's plan is. Anyways, that's all I Adam K says he knows he can't ask for 15K all at once. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, it's going to take a lot of fundraisers to get through this kind of thing. River Run says he literally just has to sell the Washington property. This kind of waste makes me angry. Yeah, well. Anyways, that's all I really wanted to cover. Have a happy week, everybody. I think for most people it should be a short week, so Merry Christmas. And yeah,